Welcome to the WalterFootball.com podcast. This is episode 293. We're breaking down the 2020 fantasy football sleepers and busts. Joined once again by Kenny at Fantasy Jabber. Kenny, how are you?
Bro, I'm living the dream. I've got Diet Coke. I've got football coming up. What else can you want? Football, Diet Coke, life is grand.
No diet, though. I don't know what you're doing with that. Joined also by Jacob Kamaker from the Sporting News. Jacob, how are you?
I'm good. We're officially 2 weeks away from the NFL season, and I've got 3 fantasy drafts next week, so pretty pumped up about that. I'm getting ready to see if I can come out victorious. Last year, I did the worst I've ever done in my 10 years of playing fantasy, so it can't possibly do much worse than that, right?
Yeah, I guess you have to rebound, right? Kenny and I have our fantasy draft on Sunday that we've been in the league in for since 2006 together. So that I'm looking forward to that. Let's break down our 2020 fantasy football sleepers first, and then we'll get to the bus. Well, first of all, please hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or share this link with people. It would help us out a lot, or hit the like button. So you guys know the drill. All right, let's get to some honorable mentions. I know Kenny has 5,000 honorable mentions he wants to discuss. Jacob also has some honorable mentions. I have a few. Kenny, who are your honorable mentions?
Okay, I didn't hear. Are we doing bust first or sleepers? I'm not paying attention. My Diet Coke got me thinking weird.
Yeah, if it was regular Coke, it'd be fine. We're doing sleepers first.
Okay, sleepers first. So, by the way, can I just brag for a moment? My sleepers were pretty good last year. I think I did pretty good, and my bust list was really good last year too. So, I'll just quick brag. My sleepers last year were Terry McLaurin, Justin Jackson, and Dion Lewis. You lose some. Dante Pettis. Let's pretend like that one didn't exist. Darren Waller was one of my sleepers. DJ Chark, Cortland Sutton, and then Nyheim Hines and Sam Darnold. Mono, Luck retired. You can't, whatever. Anyway. Pretty good list, I think, in my opinion.
It's outstanding. You drafted McLaurin in our league, and people are like, "Who?" And they laughed at you, and you had the last laugh.
That's right. Although I went 6-5-2 in that league. Weird. Anyway, so maybe I didn't that much. Anyway, all right. So honorable mentions on the sleeper list. Darrell Henderson was on my list. The injury news came out. I don't know what that's going to make of him, so not sure what to make of that. I think he's slightly underrated right now. Justin Jackson still on my sleeper list again. We'll make another repeat. That's just because I have limited confidence in the guy ahead of him. You may hear his name later. A couple other one of the Washington running backs has got to be on the list, right? I think Bryce Love is probably the guy that I'll probably end up drafting. Throughout. Jacob's giving a thumbs up. Maybe we'll hear his name later. A couple other guys that I think honorable mention: Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, being drafted later than I think they should. TJ Hawkinson, I like. He's 11th to 12th round pick in a lot of drafts. I like him. And OJ Howard is going undrafted in a lot of leagues, or very late. I don't know why people are so convinced. We haven't seen a healthy Gronk in 3 years. So I'm nervous that people are way overrating Gronk in that offense. I think OJ Howard might be a good guy. So those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, especially with Howard. Brady loves throwing his tight ends. It kind of clashes with Arians' offensive system, which usually doesn't have good production from tight ends. But I feel like you're going to have Evans, Godwin, Howard, and Gronk out on the field a lot. And I think Scotty Miller will work his way in there as a slot dude. So I like the idea of grabbing OJ Howard really late, or keeping an eye on him on the waiver wire, depending on how deep your league is. This is also me stalling a little bit, because I'm prepared for this mentally, but I did not know we were doing top fives of each. So I've had to scramble my brain to figure this out. But some of my honorable mentions, I feel like at the quarterback position, Phillip Rivers is always solid. He always works his way into that close QB1 competition, and he's really low rated in some areas. I feel like, especially where he's going to a team that's, kind of better than what he had, especially in terms of blocking. So I think he's going to be better than people expect this year. So he's a guy I would keep an eye on. I'm a fan of Duke Johnson too in Houston. I think David Johnson's going to have trouble staying healthy, and Duke Johnson was really good last year. Bill O'Brien just didn't use him because he doesn't know what he's doing, but he had 410 receiving yards and 410 rushing yards. So I mean, if he gets on the field more and Bill O'Brien, like, he's like, oh, he's more dynamic than David Johnson, which, I don't have faith that that will happen, but I think it could. I think that's probably a good scenario for them. Deeper sleeper at receiver, Brian Edwards from the Raiders. Henry Ruggs getting a lot of buzz, but I think Edwards might be more pro ready at this point in time. He's been doing really well in camp, so he's a guy I would keep an eye on very late. And at the tight end position, there's always a few sleepers that I kind of like that I always get nervous about. There are two I'll point out. Noah Fant averaged 14.1 yards per catch last year. So he should only get better as Drew Lock gets better. And here's a really sneaky one if you play in ESPN fantasy leagues. I play in a couple of those. Taysom Hill has tight end eligibility. If you're yes, that's according to my boss at Sporting News. So if you're getting really tricky and you want to pick up Taysom Hill as a tight end streamer, touchdown potential guy, he works in the red zone, and somehow he gets to make a start at quarterback this year, you are golden at tight end for when that happens. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but just an interesting note. And one more sleeper at tight end. I love Will Dissly from the Seahawks. If he is healthy, he is a top 10 fantasy tight end. It's just a question of whether or not he come off two major injuries. So a lot of honorable mentions at tight end. There's always some guys you can scoop up that you have high hopes for. Rarely do they work out, though.
It's a great heads up about Taysom Hill. I had no idea, and we're going to be drafting our league. Kenny is in ESPN, so Jacob just gave us some insight. Like maybe one of us will draft Taysom Hill late.
It's so strange. I didn't realize that would even be a thing.
That is amazing. If he starts a quarterback and you could put him in tight end, like Jacob said, like that could win you a league basically.
Yeah.
All right. A couple of sleepers I just added today to my sleepers list. Brandon Ayuk, receiver for the 49ers, is looking good in training camp. Deebo Samuel hurt. He's going to get he's going to get more targets. John Hightower, receiver for the Eagles. So Deshaun Jackson's always hurt. Alshon Jeffrey's hurt. Jalen Reagor is raw. John Hightower has been one of the best receivers in Eagles training camp. So it's worth a shot with your final pick if you want to go there. A couple sleeper tight ends. Blake Jarwin from the Cowboys. He's going in the 13th round. I always like Jarwin. It was just Jason Witten was in his path, but that's not the case anymore. Mike Gesicki, I feel like I've drafted him in every single draft we've done, fantasy mock draft we've done. He's going to play in the slot in Chan Gailey's offense, which is huge. I also like Steven Sims Jr. He's going undrafted. He's going to be playing in the slot for the Redskins. Alan Lazard, who's looking good in training camp. And then I want to piggyback on what Kenny said with Bryce Love. I think Bryce Love has the potential to make some stars. Remember, he was a first-round prospect, NFL draft prospect. He got injured, but now he might be healthy. And Adrian Peterson's 35. So I think there's a chance that Bryce Love will make some stars this year.